Well, at first this is what was happening to us. There's really not, I mean, I have charter boat and I didn't even say anything. Charter boat captains that have been here. I mean, we have a good sized charter boat fleet in the South Mississippi, Gulfport, Ocean Springs, Biloxi. I would say more so in Biloxi than anywhere else. But since Hurricane Katrina hit, there's only like 2 people on the water that have fuel, and that's me and a friend of mine in Biloxi, Danny Patallo, who has Gorn flows over there. But my charter boat captains have been worse than I am because they had the offshore season shut down for them. So I lost all those businesses, or that business from those guys, plus those guys lost their business. Now, before those guys lost their business, our waters were open inshore, and some federal waters were open, but the media had it so blown out of proportion that there was oil washing up on our beach on April the 25th. And I don't think we really saw any oil here until about 3 weeks ago. Okay, enough to where they closed things down. All right. I think that if you were a tourist and you wanted to come to South Mississippi, I think it's a good place to come and visit. I think that there is still things that people can do here that are not oil related. You know, Mississippi's got a lot of history to it. Whether it be on the Gulf Coast and the other part of the state, which we try not to claim to the north part most of the time because they really don't like us from the southern part. It's 2 different worlds, and I think we have the best of both worlds down here, okay? So really and truthfully, I don't know what people, I guess tourism needs to, you know, and they got a lot of money sent to them that I thought was really an astronomical amount of money to promote South Mississippi from BP in the millions and millions, and they wanted more and more. I thought that money could have been used somewhere else or better, but I'm not in the ad business. I don't think that people, and you know, people don't need to boycott BP, because that's the worst thing that can happen to us. Because when they don't sell anything, then that makes their stuff get worse and worse and worse, which makes them less stable, you know. Accidents do happen, and see, that's another thing that people want to always, you know, well, yeah, they screwed up. Well, everybody makes a mistake. I've made 1 or 2, like I said earlier. All right, not to this magnitude, you know, but I have made some mistakes that were bad. I mean, and you make mistakes every day doing business. I mean, I'm really, I could have took one of my boats and put it in this Vessels of Opportunity thing and made $1,600 a day, probably for about the last 40 days. But I was in the bait business. So what happens to me then is a catch-22 is that I quit shrimping, I lose my shrimp customers. Now, how did I tell my customer? Well, Bob, sorry I don't have any live bait for you today, but I put my boat in the VOO program and I'm making $1,600 a day, and granted, you're in the bait business over there and I'm your wholesaler, and I needed the $1,600 and you really don't need the shrimp from me. Well, Bob's going to find somebody else to buy shrimp from, and is my retail customers after he comes in 2 or 3 times and I don't have shrimp because I took myself out of the shrimp business. I'm a no-count son of a gun then. But I stayed in it. Now, really and truthfully, I think them guys ought to pay me the $1,600 a day for trying to keep my business open for this period of time, instead of me not being in the program and not, I mean, being in the program and get paid. They should have given me the same money they're giving the guy that drug up and went and did this. All right, and I know a lot of them that make good money doing it, but it's short-term money, and I'm planning to be here long-term, hopefully, and that's why I didn't do it. And when they closed our waters down to us, which I think was 3 weeks ago Monday, I tried to get my boat in then. Well, they weren't hiring any boats at that time, which if they'd had hired me and they opened the shrimp season back up the next day, I'd have been out of the VOO program back from baiting, because that's what I have to do for my livelihood, you know. So I just don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in the long run. I don't know what's going to happen in the short run. I really don't know what's going to happen for the rest of the day. In all sincerity, you know, I do know that I'm praying that these storms stay out of here. I think that the media sensationalizes that more than we need. All right. You wake up at 4 o'clock every morning and look at the weather, and it's the same guy on the Weather Channel, and when Jim Cantori gets on, whenever he speaks, he's like doom and gloom right there. Get the hell away from wherever he's at, because it's going to find him, you know. So, I mean, I just don't know what else to say. I don't. I mean, I've been through a lot of stuff, and I just, the uncertainty it's got me to where I'm pretty hyper most of the time anyways, but here the last few days I think it's really starting to affect me to the point to where, you know, sit down and give me a straight answer. Let me pick up the phone and call this guy that I'm talking to in Hammond, Louisiana and say, okay, Mr. DiNero, we're going to give you X amount of dollars, or Mr. DiNero, we're not going to give you anything at all, so I know what I can do the next day. But me hoping that I'm going to get some money is keeping me going, and hopefully that my business is going to pick back up. And like I said, conceivably I could have a decent August and a half-assed decent September. But my July is gone. Well, today's the 22nd, so we got 8-9 days left of this month. Well, it's gone. So I missed May, June, July of this year. Okay, I missed selling. I bought 800 pounds of eels last year in the month of April and May. There's 10 eels to a pound. That's 8,000 eels I sold last year in 2 months. I sold 110 pounds of eels this year. That's $3.50 an eel that I sell them at. And that's not all profit, but there's profit in it. So all those things that go in this pie that keeps this business open throughout the year, I have missed completely, you know. So, you know, like if somebody be straight up about it and say, okay, Kenny, we're going to give you this, or we're not going to give you this, or we're going to look at you, or we're going to pay you $10,000 a month for the next 6 months until spring of next year. And if there is a bait season again and everything's back to normal, then we're not going to give you any more money, or we're going to give you a lot some because we have put you out of business, which they haven't put me out of business, okay, but they're damn close to it. And it's not anybody else's fault but them. They're the one that spilled the oil. My dog didn't spill it, you didn't spill it, the guy across the street didn't spill it, okay? And I can't overcome something that I can't control. Not really.
Okay.
I mean, I'm good. I mean, I think that they need to get the shit right. They really do. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, don't jerk me around anymore. I'm not a dummy, you know. And I know and I'm just, like I said, I'm just one guy, you know. And you always try to put up for rainy days. Well, the money that I had put up for my rainy day was put up last year, and there's only so much money a business like this can, you know, if I was making $1 million every other day, I could probably hang out for a while, but that's not the case. And then you got to let people go, and that's the worst thing. I've got people that have been with me for years, you know, and when I turn my tanks off the other day, it takes me about a week to get my water right. And I drained my tanks because there was no sense in me running these electric motors and these chillers, because I'll be 100 degrees. Me and you will be 100 degrees right now today. And the 12 shrimp that I got in that tank are swimming doing a backstroke in 75-degree water because that keeps my stuff alive. I may sweat to death, but my shrimp are not going to be in 80-degree water. Well, all that stuff, my power bill's like $1,200 a month. So, you know, I start cutting stuff off because I need to conserve on everything that I possibly can. Well, then they turn around and open it back up. Well, then you got to crank everything back up, which takes me about 4 or 5 days to get stuff right, really and truthfully. So if there would have been a lot of shrimp caught today, I don't know if they'd have made it or not. The 14 that we did put in the tank look pretty healthy right now, you know, but they're cool, you know, they're cool. And then the other biggest problem is when the oil got up in here to where my black dog right there can't go swimming at the boat ramp, then I'm really going to raise hell, because that's his thing. Ain't that right, pirate dog? What do you think about that oil? Huh? What do you think about it? Think it'd mess you up? You just get 2 baths a day then, huh? Ain't that right?